Dinosaurs didn't completely die out. Today's birds are their descendants. It's often said that dinosaurs went extinct because of their enormous size, but we've discovered dinosaurs even smaller than birds. So the question arises, if birds and mammals could survive, why did all these small dinosaurs perish? First, let's look back. An asteroid with a diameter of 10 kilometers crashed into Earth, triggering a series of chain reactions that ultimately wiped out the dinosaur dynasty, which had ruled the Earth for 160 million years. So, when did birds appear? In 1863, British scientist Thomas Henry Huxley, after comparing various primitive reptile fossils, found that Archaeopteryx shared similar morphological features with dinosaurs. He therefore considered Archaeopteryx an intermediate species transitioning from reptiles to birds, thus proposing the bird-dinosaur origin hypothesis for the first time. In the 1990s, a large number of feathered dinosaur and primitive bird fossils were discovered in western Liaoning, China. These findings provided strong evidence for the origin of birds from dinosaurs. So, which dinosaurs were truly the ancestors of these birds? To figure this out, we need to start with feathers. Unlike many people's impressions, not all dinosaurs were large, scale-covered lizards. Many dinosaurs had feathers. Take the guanlong, for example. They liked to lay eggs on round mounds of earth, but these eggs were often exposed to direct sunlight, which could easily bake them. So guanlong needed to carefully tend to their offspring. When it was too hot, the guanlong father would use his broad tail and forearm feathers to shade the nest. Of course, this was also quite an ordeal, as he himself had to endure the high temperatures. Do the social habits of these guanlong seem somewhat similar to some modern birds? Could they be the ancestors of birds? Archaeopteryx lived in the late Jurassic period, about 150 million years ago, while guanlong lived in the Cretaceous period, making their active period later than Archaeopteryx. So clearly, they are not the ancestors of birds. Besides these herbivores, even some carnivorous tyrannosaurs, like the Yutyrannus that lived in the Arctic region, also had feathers. They were distant relatives of the Tyrannosaurus rex. Although smaller in size, their thick feathers played a crucial role in keeping them warm. Speaking of tyrannosaurs, we must mention the Tyrannosaurus rex. Did the T-Rex have feathers? Feathers are the most complex animal derivatives known to humans to date, and whether the T-Rex had feathers is still a matter of debate. Some believe that the T-Rex not only had feathers, but that these feathers were also brightly colored, making a punk rock T-Rex quite reasonable. Others believe that juvenile T-Rex had feathers, but most of them would shed as they matured, leaving only a few sparse, downy feathers. However, regardless of whether the T-Rex had feathers, it certainly has little relation to the ancestor of birds. Let's continue our search for the truth. There was a dinosaur that not only had feathers, but also had claws very similar to some birds. That was the Deinonychus, which, as its name suggests, was a dinosaur with terrifying claws. Deinonychus belongs to the Dromaeosauridae family and is one of the representative dromaeosaurid dinosaurs characterized by large, sickle-shaped toe claws, flexible forearms, and a feathered back. Although it's not the ancestor of birds, it shares many common features with them. Deinonychus inspired paleontologists to reevaluate the relationship between dinosaurs and birds, especially playing a key role in the dinosaur renaissance of the 1970s. After looking at so many feathered dinosaurs, we also realized that the primary purpose of these feathers was not for flight, but rather for warmth and display. So a clever student might ask, didn't pterosaurs fly? Aren't they more closely related to birds? In fact, pterosaurs were not dinosaurs, but rather flying reptiles. Their flight was also dependent on their dragonfly-like body shape and specially structured wings, so they also have little relation to birds. So what dinosaur truly is the ancestor of birds? We need to turn our attention back to China. Approximately 160 million years ago, during the late Jurassic period, a very peculiar dinosaur appeared in the Liaoning and Hebei regions of China, the Anchiornis. As its name suggests, near bird, it was a dinosaur close to birds. Anchiornis is a small feathered dinosaur of great research value. In 2010, scientists successfully reconstructed its true colors for the first time by analyzing the melanosomes in its feathers. Anchiornis had a reddish-brown feathered crest on its head, a black and white striped face, and black and white striped wings. This was a landmark achievement in dinosaur color research. From then on, when adding colors to dinosaur feathers, people finally had a scientific basis. Although Anchiornis had bird-like feather structures, they hadn't truly learned to fly, only mastering the ability to glide. After Anchiornis, Archaeopteryx appeared, serving as a transitional species between dinosaurs and birds. Subsequently, the discovery of fossils like Confuciusornis, Joholoornis, and Sapiornis proved that birds were beginning to emerge on the historical stage. Now that we know the origin of birds, let's return to our initial question. Why did birds successfully survive after the asteroid impact, while all those small dinosaurs became extinct? In fact, there were many reasons for the extinction of dinosaurs. Their massive size was just one. The key factors were the immense environmental changes and the collapse of the food chain. Countless natural disasters occurred, and the death of vast numbers of plants led to the disappearance of giant herbivorous dinosaurs, as they needed to consume enormous amounts of food daily. Without these large herbivores, large predators like the T-Rex also gradually went extinct. So larger dinosaurs almost all succumbed in the early stages of the catastrophe. The surviving dinosaurs, which were not inherently dominant, couldn't simply maintain their ecological niches. Survival of the fittest and luck has always been part of strength. Who would have thought that Anchiornis, once about the size of a cat, could create one of the greatest miracles in the history of vertebrates? Today, over 9,000 species of birds are active in the skies. It can be said that because of the evolutionary miracle of birds, vertebrates can now dominate every corner of the Earth. And after hearing the story of birds, it's time for mammals. Are you ready? The real legendary journey has just begun.